So, champ select's ready. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Mazel. We'll see you later for that interview after this series. Yeah, you know what? I'm just happy we won. I'm happy we were able to solve it, Cubby. If we worked as a team for it, there's only a little bit of cheating going on in it all, but it
I
all
gotta take a
worked
big
out.
sip, you know.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But let's talk a little bit about that last game.
Pressure's been on lately, man. I lost my job losing a debate to Kelsey. I had to get that one right to, try and get myself an extra day on broadcast. It's
I wonder if we
down
maybe
to
can
crumbs.
talk to Kelsey since you were the one who won that Yordle for us.
I'm down to breadcrumbs,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe that victory in Yordle will get your job back. We'll see. But let's talk about this game. Let's talk about our series at hand. Team Liquid Academy, Immortals Academy. It was well fought between both teams. A couple of mistakes here and there, but Immortals were doing a good job of battling back until that last, not the very last fight, but the fight before Baron, where Jan was able to position so well. Hayri played really aggressively, and that changed the entire story for that game, where Immortals had clawed their way back in, and then Golden Guard, what am I saying? Team Liquid were able to silence that right out of the gates.
And I think a big part of that game was Jan's Ezreal, man. He was just a freak on that champ. He's been putting up numbers on the Ezreal this week, and I'm done seeing it. Like, I know that this next game, Team Liquid's going to be on blue side. I really think that if you're Immortals, you have to take it away, because not only were they so good at playing it out in lane, I mean, they got the first blood or a kill level 1, but the power it gives, the 1-3-1, and the difficulties it gave Immortals when it came to even engaging the 5v5s that they wanted. At this point, I don't want to give Jan Ayla Karma Ezreal anymore. I think that you got to force him on something else. They've played it all 3 games this week, and they've dominated all 3 games on the champions. So I think if I'm Immortals, I'm trying to switch things up from the start of draft. Let's get a different look. I feel like the rest of the pieces in their comp were okay. I could see how it fits together, but it's so hard to pull off these wombo combos against a Karma team with so much poke and so much side lane control. So I want to see something else coming out from Immortals and see them force the hand of Team Liquid.
Yeah, let's get into champion select so we can see whether or not that's going to happen. And once we get there, we can tell everyone what is going on. There it is. That Karma.
No more Karma.
No more Karma. And I wonder if that alone is enough to stop the possibility of Jan playing Ezreal.
We'll have to see once we get the draft up for everyone. We can walk through where we're at the moment. I think the big stories of that last game, both Bradley, Jan Ayla picking up kills, level 1, was pretty big for helping Team Liquid be able to get out of the rest of the stages of the game. Now, I will give Chad credit. I think the early invade was good. I think that Chad had a nice game, but once Team Liquid won that first team fight, it was off to the races from there. With that said, the hand of Team Liquid is going to be forced from the start. No more Karma Ezreal for them. There should be a change of strategies coming in. And it is going to be the Zeri.
They get the Zeri this time. It was becoming a problem with Wild Turtle in the late stages of that game. The lockdown tools, the Camille from Bradley, were enough to make sure that Wild Turtle wasn't going to perform to that level that he needed to kite around the fights consistently since he was locked in that pit. I respect the takeaway. Make sure that it's not going to be as easy for Wild Turtle. But I do want to also flip that, because Wild Turtle has played Tristana into the Zeri before. That is considered the pseudo counter to Zeri with how you can play around a lot of these fights. And he did a really good job with that in that series yesterday.
Yeah, they played it yesterday to great success against Kaori and Skytech. Now, one of the pairings that we've seen that is more popular with the Zeri is the Yuumi, and that is taken off the table. And the flip side for Immortals, their response to this, it's actually taking away a couple champs that have been core to the success of Team Liquid in the Build-A-Bear and Rise, which tells me that Immortals, I mean, they are set up to just attack the mid lane, whatever Harry's going to pick here. The most standard counter that we have seen has been that Orianna, which also gives Zeri a shield, which of course she does benefit from a little bit more than other champions, given her passive. So I would not be surprised if we see something like Orianna coming here. But then again, why not return to Harry's the Blanc man? It's been his best champ. He's 6-1 on it this year. And it's something that he's really comfortable with. So we'll have to see now if Ayla goes for something like a Lulu, or if we see Armeo maybe match and grab a jungler for himself, like the Hecarim.
I actually kind of expect that, because we'd expect there to be a good amount of jungle bans from the side of Immortals getting into
Jarvan.
Yeah, we could see Jarvan, we can see Zhao, technically. The Tom Kench is what they opt to go for in this bot lane. And I'm imagining that it's got to be the Tristana in this lock-in, right?
We'll see. I think some people believe they can play Aphelios into Zeri. Now, if you combine the Graviton and attack it early when you get that gun rotation, I do think it's okay. Zeri is pretty weak in the earlier stages of the game, and I think that Volibear can help attack that. But Tristana is the most standard counter that we have been seeing, really piloted by LCK. And I guess IMT, they're okay eating some bot lane bans for Turtle and Joey. It's that priority being put on the Mundo when it concepts better champions, and they're going to ban out 2 counters to help protect that pick as well.
That's what I was about to say. Is I expect that to be both the bans now from Immortals, as outside of just being the jungle bans that I previously
Should be
thought.
Trist banned.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting probably a ADC ban, maybe even a support ban from the side of Team Liquid, just hitting one of each for both Wild Turtle and for Joey.
I think the other champ we're going to see taken away from Bradley, maybe a Fiora, one of the more brutal matchups for the Mundo. Concept, though, he knows this matchup, or any Mundo matchup, really better than, honestly, everyone else on the server. I mean, he has been playing these champs. You caught up with him, Mad Magical. He's been playing these champs forever.
Yes, he has. I mean, you look at his champ pool.
How far back?
I think he said
it's like season 4, season 5. It's been Urgot, Singed, Mundo.
Urgot, Singed, Mundo, splash in some Trainemir and Garen every now and then. Yeah, pretty much that's how he's played a lot of these top lane champs. He played a lot of Teemo back at the very beginning. I remember him saying that. But the ones that have been the predominant mainstays have in the Mundo, the Singed, and when Urgot got reworked, Urgot.
Now, I'm curious if we see an Aphelios taken away or maybe something like a Kate. I think defaulting to a support ban is not bad either, as it will be the Kate.
Yeah.
So I think this puts Turtle, some of his options, I still think Aphelios is a decent option. Now, Ashe would be one that would be really curious for me because Ashe did see some buffs.
Right.
I think it's difficult to play into the Tahm Kench, but I know a lot of people have been clamoring that Ashe is good. Someone's been playing it a ton. Has actually been Arrow, also a part of the Immortals squad. So maybe Turtle and their org think it's a stronger pick at the moment. Looks like it's not going to be the one. It might have been baited by a hover. Still going to be stock standard in the Aphelios and saving that support counter for the side of Joey.
Yep, going to what you had said was the possibility, especially when we have double bans in the Caitlyn and the Tristana, both of which Wild Turtle likes to play a lot. Makes a lot of sense.
Fiora.
And this is where I'm looking at the next part of this pick, right? I am expecting it to be something like Fiora or Bradley in this top lane.
Yeah, let's throw it down.
Thinking what else? I mean, I'll bring it up again. Aurelia, just because I like to see him play Aurelia. It doesn't really do as well into Mundo, if I recall. But at least it's going to be something that can split push and side lane later into the game.
And we have Trundle, where if we're talking about picks that are popular within orgs, Team Liquid, Santorin Trundle, Armeo Trundle.
Yep.
I really like the Trundle. You can take away the resistances from Mundo. It's a pillar to help deal with both the Rise and the Aphelios. I think it's a really good pick for Team Liquid. It does mean that they don't have quite as much early jungle power as the Volibear, but as time goes on, that Trundle gets very useful in the team fights. And it looks like actually a Gnar for Bradley. I've got to check. Is that a 17th unique champ? Okay, he's played it once.
Okay.
He's played it once.
I was about to check that as well. I'm like, is that a unique champ from him again? But it's not. So second time. I mean, that does work into Mundo. You have that range, especially when you're in mini form. It actually works really well with hiding back Mundo, taking a lot of damage since you only really stop CC as Mundo from yourself. So if you can have this Ras, it's a good chase down.
And we are expecting the Hullbreaker rush. We saw it yesterday from Darshan. Still should be seeing it from Bradley, of course. We are on 12.4 with Renata enabled. She does have the hot fixes, though. So one of the reasons we aren't seeing Renata at the moment. But looking at this draft, Mad Magical, I think Immortals need to do something early with this Volibear Rise. You can do things on the first first 2 clears. Volibear has great clearing power and insanely powerful level 3. As time goes on, you can't really deal with this LeBlanc. She's going to be poking you down for free. Zeri, we've seen how out of control she can get at the later stages of the game. I think Immortals have a couple ways to deal with the Zeri, but when Yawn gets a bunch of stacks on this champion, you're not going to be able to catch a cleaver or land it as concept. And if you go back and think about, maybe a very popular clip that we saw of Zeri from Quantum Stream, that was Yawn playing it. I think that got like 2.5K retweets. Now, that was before some of the changes, but I know from talking with Yawn himself, he feels like he's mastered this champion. He's like, yeah, when Zeri came out, Riot's new champs are always strong. I made it my mission to make sure that Zeri, I was going to master this. And I'm excited to see him play it on the Rift because this is only the second time that we've seen it out of Yawn, and I just want to see what he's able to do because I really feel like if he's not set behind early, he has the potential to carry like he did the last game.
And as we load up onto the Rift, getting ready for the second game of our first series on day 2 of Week 7, Immortals, they've got their backs to the wall. They need this game if they want to assure that they can still contest Cloud9, still contest Team Liquid in the standings as we progress further and further. It is we're almost done with Week 7. Next week is the final week. It's a super week, sure, but it's Week 8 of Academy.
I'm excited to dive on into this game and see if Immortals can break the game plan of Team Liquid. Really feel like Immortals has to get active early as we are hopping into the Rift.
There
you
we
can
go.
see Ayla connect him with a couple tongue lashes and Yawn. Flashing the emotes and forcing Turtle in base. We'll see if they opt to drop an early trinket. But I think all eyes early, it's going to be on Chad and Pretty. Can they do something together? Can they get on a lane and make it happen? And it does look like Chad actually looking to take advantage of the level 1 power of Concept and the level 1 power of the Volibear. They're looking for an invade on Armeo's Trundle.
I'm pretty sure Concept has played a different Mundo skin in every single game he's played of. Just looking
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I've
nice.
seen him play a Mundo
Okay.
skin. I've seen him play corporate Mundo before. So I'm pretty sure he constantly changes it. He's not too foster picky with whatever skin he takes.
Well, he is going to at least connect one cleaver and spot where Armeo is starting, but will not lead to anything more, as it will be both junglers starting on the top side. Now, Chad does have the option early to try and trade flash for flash with most mid laners, not LeBlanc.
Oh.
And oh boy.
Joey, the flash flay on Yawn. They got a lot of damage on him with the ignite. Wild Turtle was zoned off by Ayla. Would have been risky for him to step too far forward and get stunned and tongue lashed to death by Ayla.
Now, one of the things about Zeri is that she has very low health in the early game. So I think Joey playing aggressive is what's needed, but you're against a Tom Kent. She still is going to get prio if he's able to connect with these tongue lashes. And you can see they still hit level 2 first. Ayla will not attempt to go for the dive and connect, but Yawn and Ayla should be okay in this lane despite the early trade of summoners.
But I do look towards Chad now. There's no flash on to Yawn, and this is the time period when Zeri isn't quite as mobile as she'll become later into the game, which she's just dancing and skating around every single battle. Here is where you can punish her. You've got flash on your Volibear. It's a nice, easy stun that you lock down. There's no devour from Ayla either, but Concept taking a lot of damage here from Bradley. This is looking reminiscent of the first game, but missing that boulder means there's no solo kill this time for Bradley. He's in a lot of hurt, and it's actually going to be Concept taking his own solo kill.
And Concept, he just knows his limits on these champions, knows the matchup better than other people in Academy. And Bradley looking for that early aggression in lane. It's too much. Concept turns it on him, one cleaver at a time. As we'll see if they can do anything else with that lead. Armeo and Chad now posturing over this crab. And given the early priority for Team Liquid's bot lane, they should be okay. And Chad, it's a heavy trade.
That's a lot of damage. That's why it's a flash. But Harry's got chains connected onto Pretty, but he has to dash back. It was a bit risky. You still get the flash out of Chad, which means that play that I was hyping up before is not going to happen.
Will still be the crab. Chad will be relegated to the top crab, so not the worst thing in the world, but it is a flash lost on the jungler of Team Liquid, so it does take away some of the early ganking power of Chad, and we'll see if he opts for any moves. Concepts trying to at least keep the wave here. Chad's going to be up. Bradley, he's way too far up.
Oh, poor Bradley. He's about to go Mega, but I don't think it's going to be in time. Even with the Guma stop, it's just a chomp from Chad.
That's Bradley. I mean, he's sitting on 2 trinkets right now. Just getting back to lane, not dropping one. A pretty big mistake coming out of the top laner from Team Liquid. It's him going down again, and now Immortals. That's a big lead in the top side, and with how tanky Mundo and Volibear can get, especially early, it should help Immortals push the pace of this game early because, once again, as time goes on, Zeri can get out of control this game. So I think it's still really on Chad and Immortals to try and push the pace, and props to Chad. Despite burning that flash in the bot river, recovers rather nicely. Big punish on the Bradley.
But the one I want him to punish is still Yawn. Yawn without a flash. Maybe you can utilize the Lantern from Joey to bring in Volibear a lot easier. But they're the ones to start it off first. They got a lot of damage and the heal out of Yawn, but missing that chain is going to be big. That's why the flash comes in from Armeo to get away from this one. They don't have to worry too much. They've already gotten a lot of damage back and forth.
And I'm very surprised that Armeo's going for this play because he has yet to base. So Chad showing up, he has way more power with the items he's been able to go back and get. So I think Armeo intelligently flashing away immediately as Yawn almost catches that.
Almost, but like he did with the Ezreal before, he's playing with fire, always knowing the limits. And as you had talked about, Yawn's put a lot of practice into Zeri. He knows those limits like Concept knows the limits on Mundo.
Be fun to look out for, as he did a beat in the last game with his Ezreal. Now that's the first pick for Team Liquid. We'll see if Yawn can take it again for this game. But all eyes really, I mean, that top lane matchup in the last game, Bradley did get the best of it, a couple of solo kills on the Concept. But Concept, I think it's time that we look back at him. I know it's a very unique pick, one that he plays really well. And he has the potential, the opportunity to really make a big dent in this game. And has to do it early before that Trundle really starts to zap those resistances and things get harder for this side of the matchup.
Speaking of harder, Pretty got a lot of damage onto Harry and looking for another gank in the bot lane. Yawn was locked down, but the chain still went wide with an ignite onto Yawn. Wild Turtle is going to be gifted that kill for free.
And it's the consistent camp for Chad. I think Chad's been down here now for 3 minutes straight, Mad Magical. And I know it's first couple moves didn't work out, but that one for Immortals does. And they do manage to do what you asked and punish the Zeri.
And it's right before the flash would be available for Yawn. It's going to tick up right about. Yep. Waiting for it. Okay, play the replay. And then I'll... Oh, there it is.
Yeah, no.
There it is.
You got it. Yeah.
All right. I just want to see the flash come up. Yawn's got that available. It was a perfect window for Chad. So they get the dragon afterwards, having gotten the kill, and here's that replay.
Yeah, and I mean, Team Liquid, they have an idea this could be coming. And you can see the full commit. Even when Joey doesn't connect that play, Wild Turtle has the Gravitum, so able to utilize the items that he just got in base to shut down Yawn, prevent him from crashing that wave. And that's the dragon off it too. So much better start for Immortals in this game. And keep in mind, this one's important for the standings. Immortals has to win this game to stay tied at 4th place with Team Liquid. So really important that IMTA are able to bounce back. And it's been a much better start for them in game 2.
It helps out when your Mundo gets a solo kill on Tanar in the top lane. And then you revisit immediately afterwards and get Chad a kill. So then
yeah, it's a nice bonus.
A lot of this is working out well. It's well done from Immortal side. The one thing that we now need to see is when do we get Chad and Pretty tag teaming it up, roaming as a duo around to side lanes.
So that is something, given all the time and focus that Chad has put in this bot lane, hasn't really been able to free Pretty up or make plays on LeBlanc. Now, LeBlanc, not the easiest gank target when you are a Volibear, but you have gank assist with the Rise. So I think that now that you have a little bit of power bot, I think that spending some time mid to try and free up Pretty and then go for like something like a 4-man dive is something that Immortals will be looking to do. And you can see both Chad and Joey hovering over this lane. Ayla's walking up, trying to bodyguard the entrance, and we'll now have Armeo.
Oh, and look at the target selection from Joey. He doesn't even want Ayla. He's only level 5. They got a lot more damage onto Armeo, so Pretty can get the kill and then turn the attention back. Even if it's a trade 1-for-1 at the moment, Harry had to use that distortion in to fight this one out. Look at the damage coming in from Pretty. He at least gets away, waiting for the blast cone, but couldn't take it. Yawn takes him down.
And I love how Yawn, that target selection, really good. He sees Pretty with the flash up. He's realm warping out, says, I'm not going to go for Rise, not going to go for the higher prio target. I'm going to take down Joey, who is a level down and has no flash. Really nice decision-making from Yawn.
And we're going to see in the replay that decision-making. Both sides, I think, had really good decision-making in this one. But one flaw is that Immortals were outnumbered.
And I like how Pretty gets the flash commit in, but Chad was just locked up. Harry's able to trade, and then this is the nice moment from Yawn. You know, one of the smaller things, but credit to him for just picking the right target, making sure that they get focused down. And as we get back to live now, Yawn
that's a lot of
taking
damage.
A nice chunk from Wild Turtle.
Yeah, it took a lot of damage there. Forced to heal
Chad's
up.
here. Go
Chad
figure.
has flash. Yawn used the flash aggressively as he should.
Here we go.
But now that puts him in this position to be punished by Pretty and Chad. Finally tag teaming it as a duo, but they don't commit fully with how defensively both Yon and Ayla are playing.
They can't, right? And Ayla now has 6, so this dive, even with the Voldabear, even with the ability to disable that turret, would get all the more harder. And I have to praise Immortals for, you know, continuing to try and attack this bot lane, but I think at this point, now that Tahm Kench has 6, it gets all the more difficult, and you can see Team Liquid might even be posturing for a counterpunch.
There's Harry. Harry's on the wrong side of the wall.
Aggressive.
He's got distortion. He'll be fine. It's still a block. A lot of safety there, but we have to turn our attention back to this top lane. Does Concept look for a dive? He's got ult available. He's got flash as well.
Not quite. I think Bradley actually looks to be opting for the Divine Sunder instead of the Hullbreaker, as I called out earlier. We'll give him a little bit more damage against Concept with trading patterns as Concept. He's still very comfortable in this lane, has that completed item, just shoving in Gnar, keeping it on our turret, and I think all the action still going to be on this bot side, Mad Magical, as Immortals. You can see them trying to get Pretty out of lane, trying to set up to attack the bot side, but Chad will be relegated to the chickens, and Team Liquid turn it.
That was the pillar and the jump onto Pretty, but he had the wrong target selection from Armeo, so he had to flash away. Without the flash, it's a little easier to get that LeBlanc, but still not the easiest.
And does trade out the flash from Chad. So, once again, Chad going to be lacking that power. Does get the big Raptor, though, and we'll be able to transition this into that top crab. And actually, with the top lane priority that Concept has, it looks like Chad has started up that Rift Herald, but Armeo's here, trying to push him off.
This is how you know I'm just a kid at heart, because I watched Mundo. I've seen it a million times. Headbutt the turret, but I laugh every time.
Like to see it as the action's still up on this top side. I know there's some trading going
it's
on.
It's a lot more of an extended fight than I expected. Moonlight Vigil did a lot of damage to Ayla. Look at Yon and how much he was able to output. Now he's in a little bit of a tough spot. That's the Gravitum available. With Ignite coming through, it's going to get the stun. But we got to turn our attention to the top lane, because Chad died as he tried to secure the Rift Herald. With the bot lane continuing as well, there's that Devour to keep Yon safe.
And so the action happened on the top side. Immortals going for this play. Pretty wasn't here. He had to base and TP back, and Immortals were still trying to stick it to the Rift Herald. So that very aggressive posturing, they get outnumbered. Team Liquid end up taking a member down. Now Team Liquid might be looking for more. His Concept, he's going to flash out the minute he sees Armeo, knows he's under threat. And that's Team Liquid picking up both the Herald and a Summoner spell on the top side.
It's a smart call from the side of Armeo and Bradley. That's when you can play aggressively, even if Mundo's been getting the upper hand over Bradley throughout this game. The moment you see Armeo, you have to flash. You don't really have any dashes yourself, and if you get locked down once, it would be, what is the smash from Gnar, and then the Gnar ult into the wall. So it would be one of your tools, the safety that you have, and your shield gone, so you're still stunned. Then you have a pillar in your way, so you can't escape. And then you have, oh, actually, you didn't have subjugate from Armeo. Either way, it still would have been bad.
And was some of the consequences of the top river fight bleeding in. We do actually have a replay of what happened again. So you can see Pretty, he's in base. He's TPing back to the mid lane, and Chad, I know it's low. He's just trying to stick it, trying to make sure he gets it on his own. Not enough damage, as I think that was an over-aggressive posture from the jungler of Immortals. Now that Rift Herald already being put to good use. 30 seconds before plates drop, trying to funnel Yon Zeri. We did tease earlier, Yon Zeri. If this is not set behind in lane phase, this champ can take over the game. We don't feel like Immortals has enough tools to deal with the Zeri. And that's Yon. He has the completed Trinity Force, now has 4 plates to his name in the bot side. And we'll see if Yon can really run away with this game.
Turret's gonna fall too.
Immortals?
And look at the dragon. It's Chad getting caught out. Oh no, Armeo getting caught out. My bad.
Oh, he got
eaten. Joey now has a lot of damage from Yon on the other side with Chad in the middle of everybody. He should die before there's any TP that could save him. They got the kill onto Yon. At least that's a saving grace. And here is Concept. Big Mundo damage, throwing them meat cleavers right in the face of Armeo. So the Baron will be theirs because there's no Harry to battle back either.
And Team Liquid, they're the ones that overextend. Bradley, he TP'd back to lane. Concept, he saved his, was able to join the fight. And because of that, IMT, they come out on top. They get the dragon. That's much needed for IMT, as we're going to get a second look at that one. And this game state, it was starting to go bad, right? You have plates, gold going over to the Zeri. I think Immortals are really pushing, looking for a play. And this collapse at first, it doesn't look good. Team Liquid, they get the Zeri here first as she jumps over the wall. They're getting pushed out of the river, but this TP from Concept, it changed and saved everything for the side of Immortals.
Well, also look at Wild Turtle's positioning. He is left completely untouched.
Turtle returning to that fight late, played it very well, and now coming out of replay, picks up that shutdown onto Harry's LeBlanc, and 3-0-0. He has the Gale Force on Aphelios. He's ready, set up to try and do everything that he can this game. It's not the easiest setup going into a Trundle LeBlanc. It's got to be really careful with how you position that you don't get poked and chunked out. And, oh, you have to pause this. We're trying to get the crab, but the bear stays strong.
Yeah, Smite.
We have the Smite.
Exactly. It was more hopeful for Yon and Ayla so they could set up the later Rift Herald when it does spawn, but it was all for naught. You're not going to steal that away from Chad. And with that Rift Herald secured on the top side, gives Concept a little bit more wiggle room to play incredibly aggressive into Bradley. And look at that attention still from Chad, hanging around this bottom half of the map, forcing Armeo to match.
And I think that's been the big story of the game as... Hold on.
Okay, there's going to be the party train from the side of Immortals. Blast cone from Armeo to stay safe, but look at that damage coming in from Yon. Huge knockup from Ayla, making this fight work for Team Liquid. Pretty and Wild Turtle doing the damnedest to get a little bit back. They've got one kill onto Ayla after his great engage, but they are split. They are on the wrong side of this entire fight, so it's a shutdown for Harry. Pretty will fall as well. Double kills for both carries.
And Immortals, they want the fight because they feel like they have the numbers, but Awa, his ability to turn this around, turn this back in favor from Team Liquid as they take a second look. It's too easy, man. He just eats the Zeri, spits him out, and is like, all right, you got to retreat. Check this Abyssal Dive. He picks up 3 members. Team Liquid shreds Immortals on the back half of this. And I know when we set this game up, Mad Magical, we said a lot of focus. We got to put it on Chad. We have to put it on Pretty. Can they do enough to get things ahead for IMT? It feels like they have it as we return back to live Concept. He dies to the roam from Harry, and Team Liquid continue to run away with this game.
It's looking a little brutal now. It's kind of looking similar to the last game where we had these ebb and flow fights. One team gets an advantage, the other battles back immediately with a great answer. That last fight, Ayla, crucial. He not only saved the fight, but he also turned it around, as you had talked about, Cubby. And then looking as we go back to live, this has now freed up a lot of flexibility where they can make that play, the top lane. They can even get set up a little bit more vision control in their own jungle, so Chad doesn't feel as comfortable invading into Armeo anymore.
And like at this point of the game, what kind of tools do Immortals have to lock down the Zeri? They need flash up from Pretty, or they need Chad to just go full sicko mode and find him in the back line. And you have 2 point-and-click stuns, and you also have Ayla on the side of Team Liquid, and we saw the power of the Tom Kench pick with this Zeri combo in that first fight. I just don't know how IMT are going to deal with it, as even Wild Turtle played that very well trying to get the PTA burst, but Ayla just eats Yon, and they return to, business as usual.
But I like that play because
that should not rip.
Exactly. They force out the ult from Ayla. There's no safety for Yon anymore when this Rift Herald is now up. They can turn back for it. It's at least a good battle back from Immortals, getting something in their inventory after Team Liquid got such a win.
Yeah, the good things for Immortals right now are that Concept is still able to do all right in this side lane into the Gnar. Bradley didn't get far enough ahead in this matchup just because Concept solo killed him. We can't see Concept really trying to push it to Bradley in the 1v1. And I think the other thing is that Pretty getting tanky is still going to be pretty good in the side lane. So maybe they can use that to find an angle. I'm just really worried for these 5v5s because we're 30 seconds away from a dragon. This would be soul point for Immortals. Mountain Soul would be a really good soul to pick up for their team into Zeri as well, but I don't know how they're going to be able to take this. They just used all of their tempo on that mid play to take the Rift Herald. Now Team Liquid, they have first say on the map, and they have total control over the bot river that now Immortals have to fight back in.
But look at the very edge of that river. There are a good amount of control wards placed down by Immortals that will be taken out by Bradley, by Team Liquid eventually. But at least gives them a little bit of flexibility. Push back the minion waves in mid, maybe pop the Rift Herald so it has to be answered by Team Liquid, and then turn their attention back. But like you said, it's late. It's not exactly at the point that they'd want to. So now they
And
are
it's
forced
gone.
to fight inside of this pit where it is nearly taken. But it could be
Oh.
Chad. Oh no, it is Armeo securing it. You can't steal it away from him. Chad might lose his life
Watch
to Yawn.
Yawn.
And look at the re-engage.
Look at Ayla.
Ayla! These knockups from Tom Kench win every damn fight for Team Liquid. That is Pretty and Concept both on the run, with Concept getting chased down by Yawn, Pretty getting chased down by the rest of the members of Team Liquid. Rampages for Harry as well.
Who needs more engage on Team Liquid? You just have Ayla on Tom Kench, man. He's making Tom Kench look like an engaged champ. These abyssal dives connecting every time, that time around, finding Wild Turtle. And Immortals, I mean, this is a fight for them that they're going for the dragon. They have a couple people locked in the pit, but because of the Trundle ult on the Voldabear, Chad melts. Immortals don't have any damage to follow up, and Turtle, their big damage source, he gets knocked up by Ayla. And just like that, Turtle falls. Team Liquid help makes everyone else fall. The Baron's now going to fall in favor of Team Liquid as well once we get out of the replay. And man, Team Liquid, they're looking to go 4-0. They're looking to go 7-1 in the last 2 weeks, man, Magical. And the manner that they've done this in, it's been dominance out of this squad.
This is where I want to bring up what Jan has said going into this week. He wanted
He's calling his shots,
he
man.
called those shots. He said it is going to be a 4-0 week for Team Liquid. And at this very moment, if things continue to progress the way they are, he will be 100% right on that. The bounce back from Team Liquid is just soaring up in the standings. They're going to contest Cloud9 for that third seed, and they might even be able to contest CLG, who are on a slump.
And I think on the flip side for Immortals this game, once again, I want to focus on Pretty Chad early. Could they get out of lane? Could they get the roams off? A lot of credit to Armeo Ayla. I mean, they were hovering, marking them at every time, and despite Chad spending all of his free time down bot, they weren't able to find the play as they do find
this
Harry.
Could be a bit of an overextension at the moment for Team Liquid. They don't have Bradley here.
Ayla.
They already got the kill on Ayla. No more engage. Not until you bring Bradley back, but that's still a lot of damage that the members of Immortals had suffered with the lockdown on a Yawn. The flash in from Chad, but Yawn survives, kiting it back, trading back 1 for 1.
And, I mean, that's the play that Immortals are looking for. They take Ayla out so Yawn can't get that free escape button. I like the flash forward from Chad, but they just don't have the damage to follow it up. The Zeri escapes. Yawn continues to just be a menace in this game. And those are the tools that Immortals has to use to stop the Zeri. It is a flash from Voldabear or an empowered Rune Prison from Ryze, chaining it up with any other CC they can find with the Thresh. They weren't able to connect it there. Yawn escapes.
And we take a look at this replay, and it looked a little dicey for Team Liquid going into this because their engage tool in Ayla, even though it's Tom Catch, does die immediately.
It's a really nice ult from Wild Turtle. He does sack a lot of his life bar for it, but they're at least able to counter. And this is the moment. I mean, so far up on the side of Yawn. I respect the chain CC, but Chad and Joey just weren't quite able to sync it up. I think if Chad flashes a bit sooner, gets the stun before that mini dash, that Zeri's dead. But that was all the time that Yawn needed to escape, able to get out with his life. And Team Liquid keep enough Baron buffs alive to still have a rather deadly push setup.
Yeah. Yawn, he punishes those slight mistakes. Playing with fire every time, if he knows a champion that he's playing has a dash. Saw it with Ezreal throughout this week. We're now seeing it with his Zeri. It is 7-2, 3 items completed at 23.5 minutes. Even if Wild Turtle is trying his best to compete with that, having 5 kills of his own, he's just slightly behind Yawn.
And Yawn's been fantastic this week. And I think that, you know, in Academy, we have a lot of good marksmen. I mean, thinking of Cowrie playing later today, Arrow. King is the most successful Oceanic player of all time that plays in Academy as a marksman. And I think Yawn, you know, kind of struggled last year to stand out a lot at times. He was more of a role player in this team. But man, has he stood out this week as they're trying to put the finishing touches on this 4-0. He has been the big carry in every single one of their games. He's been fantastic.
Harry took a lot of damage. That was good effort for us from Pretty to lock him down. But Yawn doing a good job of dishing out a little bit of damage as well to make it so they can continue to push. We're going to have a Dragon up in just a few seconds.
Oh.
Realm Warp onto Bradley, but he jumps over the wall, and he's Mega. That could be risky. They're getting a lot of damage onto the split pusher.
They gotta try
They're
something.
just kiting at the moment. Here's Concept for that angle to be able to flank, get the damage onto Bradley, but he's still alive and kicking. That is a nice Moonlight Vigil to try to take down Bradley, but he
Look at
survives
Ayla.
the entire time. Chad's low as well. Armeo is waiting his time out. He's just looking to see if he can get a pillar to make sure there's no escape. And Harry, he goes in. Wild Turtle is forced to flash away to survive.
So Immortals, they at least chunked out Yon, where he doesn't have the lifesteal with this build. He might have to base reset, but Immortals are on the wrong side of the map. You can see Harry. He's hunting. He's waiting. He's trying to find anyone. They have to be careful, though, against Wild Turtle. He has the Gravitum, so if Team Liquid goes too deep, it could be bad.
Well, there's low health bars on the side of Immortals. That's why they have this angle
They
from
gotta be
Harry.
careful.
They force them back towards their own turret. They're getting a lot of damage onto Concept. Chad, the normal engager for Immortals is too low.
Oh,
Pull,
Joey.
though. He's brought back in Harry. He jumps in to get the kill onto Concept. Maybe it was all bait after all. Look at Wild
Bradley.
Turtle in the middle of everybody, bounced around and killed off. Chad goes in himself. He dies. Immortals, you're about to get cleaned off of the map. Joey, the last surviving member, finally falls. 8-2 Yawn.
And the patience from Team Liquid to wait for Bradley to get back in the fight and then take it after that. It's been superb in these couple of games. Dragon's going to be theirs. We've had nonstop action in this one. We're going to get another replay of this fight. And Mad Magical, I just love how Team Liquid, they're waiting. This is something that we don't see out of a lot of our academy teams, waiting for the right moment. And they were just waiting for Bradley to get back full health. And once he's here, this is when they know they can take and win the fight. The focus is good. Just making sure that Bradley gets Mega. And once again, Ayla, man, he's been so good that pre-fight. Him waiting to eat Yawn. Just knowing, like, all the limits on that champion, man. This bot lane for Team Liquid, they've been so good in the 4-0, man. I know I was just talking about Yawn, then Ayla makes a huge play in that fight. These guys really look like they could give Stixxay and Chime a run for their money as the best bot lane that we have in Academy. So, as we hop back into the map, Team Liquid, our mid, going to be pushing up as Immortals continue to try and find Yawn, try and take him down. I know we lost Mad Magical briefly. You might be stuck with me for this team fight as a Death Sentence connects onto our Mayo. No follow-up, and Team Liquid just looking to get mid priority, looking to set up for what looks to be a Baron. He's putting it aside, but Team Liquid looking to start the Baron to try and pull this TP.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm back. Okay, there we go. I tried to reset a couple things. I don't know what happened there, but I'm back here. And right as I'm here, it's back in time. They've got a turret in the bot lane because Pretty is split pushing this entire time. He's got TP available. He can easily join, but Baron's down to 50%. There's Bradley on the flank, but he doesn't have Mega just yet. They got a little bit of damage coming in under Concept. He's going to be rooted by the chains coming in from the Eternal Chains, and they've got him locked down. No way to escape. And Bradley, he's got the damage that he needs, and he's waiting to stack up to go Mega, but they flashed on top of Wild Turtle. Armeo finds himself a killing spree as Pretty has to defend the base against all 5 members of Team Liquid because everyone else is split.
And Team Liquid, they don't want the Baron anymore. They're looking for the base, and who can blame them as Yawn, knowing the limits on this champ, stepping up, flashing forward, takes down Wild Turtle. And Team Liquid looking to put the finishing touches on a 4-0. This was a hype matchup. Both teams coming into this matchup 5-1 in their last 3 games. And Team Liquid, man, they really put Immortals to work as Immortals the last stand.
They've got to do something, but it's just not working. Harry is godlike. The turrets will fall. They don't even need the minions to take one initially, but they need more to take the last one. It is going to be a couple seconds until Wild Turtle is up, but he only has heal available. No Moonlight Vigil. It is going to be a YOLO Baron defense. The Hail Mary out of Immortals. They got the pull back onto Bradley with the flay as well stunned from Chad, but it's just not enough damage at the moment. He can go Mega, he can jump away, but nobody can touch Zeri. Look at the damage coming in. Finally, they focus on Zeri, but that's a lot of damage. Gobbled up, huge shield, fighting back against Immortals. This is the final fight because Team Liquid have this one in the bag unless a miracle can happen like that with Yawn taking a lot of damage.
Oh, he didn't have the Gravitum Actum. So Yawn, He survives. Team Liquid, they survive. They tried to end the game on this push. They get the next turret.
Oh, they do.
Winions.
All right. Bradley,
Okay.
you can backdoor at this point.
It's all calculated. This has been a fun one, Matt Magical. I will praise Immortals on at least trying to fight back. They have to take these fights, but man, the way that Team Liquid's playing this out, like just these guys knowing their limits. Yawn and Ayla are playing these champs to the max.
Oh my god.
They are going as low as they can, and now Immortals, they have to do this. It's desperation for them. And this Baron's melting. They might get it, but can Team Liquid turn?
It's about getting out with it. That's now the big problem.
Oh,
There's only
out.
2 members out. The other 2, Concept and Chad, are still in the pit, and they're not taking enough to survive Yawn. Yawn can clean them all up. That's a lot of damage on the backline coming in from Turtle, but look at Yawn. Watch where he's positioned. He's got pretty low. Flash away from Rise, but he is chased down by Yawn, waiting for that last Q, the last bit of damage. Dodge away initially, but it's still a legendary Yawn. There is no escape nor salvation for Immortals, even if you took the Baron.
All right, Turtle, Joey, Concept, they did get out. They still got the purple suits on. We'll see if Team Liquid can push. This is pretty aggressive from TL. Harry, Bradley are low.
That's going to be a big issue. So they do have 35 seconds till Pretty will spawn. Chad, he'll be up in 7.
Is it going to be a big issue?
It's going to be a little bit of time. The biggest issue is the fact that they just don't have the fight. They could have gone for the full push on. Oh, what the hell?
Harry getting frisky with it. Wild Turtle punishes now. Yawn, he should be able to skate on out. Dragon's up. Team Liquid, they are down a member. I think things are getting a little bit sloppy as the game goes on. Immortals, that Hail Mary, props to them. It paid off with the round warp. Now they're going to try and fight the Dragon. It would be a 5v4 in Immortals' favor.
It would be. Well, they don't have Pretty at the moment. He just spawns and he doesn't have TP. That is going to be the one saving grace for Team Liquid. But this is quite the battle back. This is quite the miracle run Immortals have gotten themselves into.
Okay, so Immortals, only down 6K. I mean, this game was looking over.
It was. I thought it was done.
I was ready to talk Team Liquid. I was talking about the 4-0 this week, but Immortals at least take a Baron. They put themselves on Soul Point. I think a lot of props go to Pretty, Immortals, whoever made that Realm Warp call. That was, I think, the right risk, the right Hail Mary. I mean, they're down bad in this game, so I think them fully sending it, the right call. Props to Wild Turtle picking up that Gale Force kill and a Harry 2 on the overextension. And just like that, Team Liquid, they have to be a little bit more careful with how they're executing this. I still think they have the scaling advantage. I still think this area is out of control and can't be dealt with. Harry's still massive on this LeBlanc, but a couple overextensions to try and end the game, and Immortals have been given a window back.
Well, and if it hasn't already been hard to lock down Zeri in the past, it's going to be even more difficult now that a Bloodthirster and a Stopwatch are in the inventory of Yawn. Yawn is set up to be the big carry, to be the star of Team Liquid in this game. Even if Harry has also been absolutely monstrous on the block, it is really all into Zeri and Yawn.
And we'll see if Immortals, and honestly at this point, if Wild Turtle can drag this team out, because he is the big late game crit 80 carry. You got a Voldabear and a Mundo in front of you. It's tough. Yawn's going to be peppering you at every opportunity he gets, but it's an opportunity for Turtle to step up. And Immortals are going to need that desperately, as that Gale Force kill on the block, that was huge. Help them secure that Dragon. They're going to need like 2 to 3 more of those plays. They want to get back to even footing. But good to see Turtle delivering on that kill on the Harry there.
Well, like I had talked about with Yawn having a Bloodthirster, it is matched by Wild Turtle's own. The only difference is he doesn't have a stopwatch to have that little extra safety. It really is going to be a battle of the marksmen for both of these teams. Whichever one is the true hyper carry, can get these picks, can kite it out and position perfectly, will be the victor.
And it looks like we might get a rare break in the action, as we are 2 minutes plus away from both Baron and Dragon coming up. Now, I want to see Immortals. I think Chad, Pretty, Joey, those are the ones that all have flash. They need to set up a clean play, a clean execute onto Yawn. It's going to be about splitting up Yawn and Ayla and finding that opportunity to get Zeri, preferably earlier in the fight before she stacks up that move speed and is really tough to get. That's really what I have my eyes out for this final fight, Mad Magical. And we'll see if Immortals are up to the task. It's not an easy one.
No, and that's kind of an issue we've seen a lot of times when a Tahm Kench or a Soraka are on your team. How do you split the Tahm Kench away from the carries? How do you make sure Ayla isn't going to keep Yawn safe? Because if you throw everything at Yawn to try to get him with a charge in, flash from Chad, a death sentence from Joey, rune prison from Pretty, even the graviton from Wild Turtle, Yon could just gobble up. Say, all right, you're going to stay safe a little longer. That's why right there with Ayla right next to Yon, he gobbles him up and keeps him alive.
And that is the flash burn from Ayla. So that is actually a nice win for Team Liquid. I like the setup coming out of Turtle and Joey. You can see Turtle, I think this game very appropriately holding on to that purple gun as much as he can, or trying to have it for all these fights, because he knows that they need the graviton to control this area, to open up the windows to chain that CC with the Volibear and Rise. So props to Turtle. I think it's the right decision this game.
I agree. And I'm just waiting right now to see how these next fights are going to play out. It's a minute until the Baron and a little bit more than a minute for the Dragon. It could be the Mountain Soul for Immortals Academy. Huge to put on your big old tanks in concept the Chad.
And I mean, this is something where Zeri, a lot of her damage is on hit, damage over time. She does have the Black Cleaver to try and get through these tanks, but it's not like a standard LDR with % armor pen. So picking up these Mountain Dragons or Mountain Soul, it would be big for Immortals, and maybe give them that window to fight and step forward in this area a little bit more. And also save Turtle from getting one shot by Harry, because that's the other thing that we're going to have to look out for, is what kind of poke can Harry connect with before this fight starts.
If Harry can get on top of Wild Turtle, it is over. That's why I'm focused on Yon and
There's one shot potential.
Right, and I'm focused on Yon because Yon is going to be the one for the team fights to skirt around and be important, be the one pumping out the damage onto people like Pretty, Chad, and Concept. It is Harry's one sole duty to try to kill Wild Turtle immediately. Well, right there, they get the flash out of Mundo. It is still
Bradley's
the Realm
really far
War,
up.
and now they could get the Rune Prison in time, waiting for it. It's in time, and Bradley, he'll fall, but look at the Baron. Look what has already been started up by the side of Team Liquid. It is being melted by Yon. There's no way that they can take this away, they can steal this away. Instead, it is the soul that Immortals want. They are letting them have Baron.
And Team Liquid, they were pinging the base, but Bradley, the overextension, that's big. I mean, we've been teasing the Mountain Soul as this feels like the piece that, if Immortals wanted to come back in this game, this is the best thing that could have happened for them. If they survive this Baron push, you get the power of the Mountain Soul for the rest of the game. You're going to have it for the rest of the fights coming up, especially that Elder fight that could be deadly. And Magical, I don't want to get too crazy on how long this game could be.
Well, too late because you're with me.
But I just like to point our viewers towards the objective timers that we have on our screen. Because they are perfectly synced up if we do get both these monster objectives to spawn. Of course, Elder does take priority, but we could see another wild game state as Team Liquid, they look a lot more scared to fight. I think they're worried about the power this Aphelios has.
I would be too. He's nearly full build at this point. You even look towards Pretty, nearly full build. Man, Rise and Aphelios with all full items are going to be terrifying, but we look at this replay, and like you said, Bradley just a bit far out. Harry was nearby, but he had to ditch him.
I think it was a decent idea from Bradley to TP out. It just needed to happen sooner.
Yeah.
Once they saw him on the ward. So, fortunately for the side of Immortals, they were able to pick up that kill, pick up the Dragon, and this game, I mean, Team Liquid, they have both Nexus turrets down. There was a point where they're trying to get that last Nexus turret and hit the Nexus. Immortals from there, I mean, they bounced back. All the chances that Team Liquid had to end this game early, Immortals were able to defend, and now Immortals still contesting to take this game, still contesting to stay tied in the standings and stop this perfect week from Team Liquid.
And like what had happened last game, we had a 9,000 gold lead for Team Liquid in this one. It was 6,000 that they had at their max before. It was wrestled away and battled back by Immortals, who then flipped back for Team Liquid. But here, a 7,000, nearly 8,000 gold lead for Team Liquid over Immortals. 2 exposed inhibitors with Baron on the heads of Team Liquid, even if it is a Mountain Soul. It is hard to defend against all of these minions. You have to have so many members committed to try to wave clear. That's why you just see all this damage being peppered down by Yon.
And Yon is level 18, and so you can see how he's trying to get up in the face of Wild Turtle, but being very cautious about it. Both these marksmen with the Bloodthirsters, I mean, they feel like superheroes at the moment. Yon even sold the stopwatch to finish the Hurricane. So this full on-hit Zeri, it's in action, and Immortals, They can't opt for a fight at the moment.
No.
They have to respect the Baron push from Team Liquid. That's 2 inhibitors falling. Keep in mind, this Nexus is open.
And look at the TP in from Hayri. With the last exposed inhibitor, Realm Warp
Gotta try
threatening
something.
the flank
Bradley's
on Bradley. There's Chad nearby. They've got the lockdown, but it's Yon that you need to focus, even if you get the kill on Bradley. What is Hayri doing on the other side? He was trying to kill Wild Turtle, but he wasn't able to accomplish it. It's going to be the kill onto Pretty. Yon was able to cut this one back.
Turtle.
Look at that damage coming in. It's a Moonlight Vigil, but it only has a little bit of damage coming in from Ayla. They have to focus on Yon. They can't lock him down. He's cutting it back with a flash coming in with a gobble up to keep him alive. It's still an exposed Nexus. Yon, they got the kill from Wild Turtle, but they got the kill onto Chad. They've even taken down Joey, and they took down the Nexus.
Oh man, those 2 marksmen going head to head with the Bloodthirsters, that was like the Thanos battle. Neither one could die. And while all that's going on, Armeo just says, all right guys, screw this. I'm done with it. I'm ending the game. Let's get out of here. Is able to hit the Nexus. As props to Immortals. I mean, they forced the issue. They forced Team Liquid to make some of the errors. And I do think that Team Liquid were getting ahead of themselves trying to end that game. Things got dicey. I thought the Turtle had a really nice game as things went on, but the early damage was done, and those mid-game fights and setups from Team Liquid were just too good. Helped them overcome Immortals and help them find that perfect 4-0 week.
Yeah, and while I respect them trying to commit for the Mountain Soul, it still traded a Baron when they have an exposed Nexus. All that really stood in the way were a couple of inhibitors and one turret in the top lane. All you have to do if you're Team Liquid is get that reset, push all minion waves in at the same time, and you're going to win.
And I mean, that is somewhat the consequences of what we set up very early, right? That Volibear rise, trying to move around the map, trying to get that Seri behind so she doesn't hit that mid game where she's so insanely strong at 2 items with all the health, all the damage that her kit packs. I think a lot of credit goes to Armeo and Ayla because they were trying to hover, trying to read where Chad and Pretty wanted to go, but we never saw that 4-man dive hit bot. And we never saw Yon get really far behind. And Yon and Ayla were the big difference makers in that game. And honorary mention, I think, to Armeo, who it's hard to have standout games on Trundle just because you are Trundle, but I think it was a really good pick in that draft, and I thought that he played it very, very well in that game, helping Team Liquid overcome Immortals and, of course, find that perfect 4-0 week.
Crazy games, though, to start off our second day of Week 7. Even if it's 2-0 on paper, it looks like it was just a one-sided victory. Both games were well fought by Immortals.
Yeah.
That
was a fun series.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. Right now, Cubby, we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, our wonderful host of Mazel will be here for an interview. Make sure you stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. I am joined by none other than Jan from Team Liquid Academy. After that banger of a series, my God, just walk me through the last little bit of that game. You had as Cubby was saying, you got the Thanos fight between the Bloodthirster ADCs. What was going through your mind at that last moment as Armeo was just hitting the Nexus saying, let's end it?
I was just thinking, wow, this guy does not fucking die. This guy's just so immortal. I realized
Hey,
I
on
need
the
to heal cut
Zeri, pretty
after,
immortal.
but both AD carries are just not dying. It's crazy.
Yeah, it actually was. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit more here, because you got a chance to show off the Zeri, the man with the legendary Zeri clip when she first got released onto the servers. What's your take on the champion now all the way through the season?
I think the champion's in a fine state at the moment. I think this is where they should have originally placed her at, but I think she's in a fine spot. She is getting nerfed next patch, though. It's looking a bit brutal.
Maybe get those pop-up performances as you can. You also got to whip out the Akinoki Ezreal, my dude. I love the shout out in the back as well. But how did it feel being able to have such a pop-up performance that we know you to be of on the Ezreal?
Yeah, I think Ezreal is one of my best champions. So I'm glad I could play really well on the champions that I am really confident on.
All right, I like it. Now, I guess the next question I want to talk about is, that was a pretty contested couple games against IMT. They went late. It was about macro decisions, but it seems like Team Liquid's macro has come alive in this last week specifically. Has there been a difference in prep or anything in terms of coming into
guys,
the games?
Sorry. 1 second, please.
No problem.
Okay. There we go. Sorry, I had to do something. I couldn't hear you that well. Could you repeat that?
No problem. No problem. So this was a pretty contested couple games against IMT, obviously coming down to late game macro decisions. But in that case, the macro for Team Liquid has been very good this week specifically. Was there anything changing in prep or anything coming into this week that was different?
Well, I think we just got to practice more of what we wanted to do originally. I think we had more things to practice than like macro, but we were always a good macro team. I'm glad we could show that we're doing well on that.
Yeah, and that's the craziest, is like that dip down seemed like such a far cry from what we know you guys to be in terms of macro decisions late game. How has the communication been along the team, especially in those late game tense moments? Who is the one that's kind of picking it up? Is it still Armeo? Is he the general?
I would say it's everyone for the most part, but
Okay.
Ayla and Armeo are doing really good. Honestly, for me, I'm not talking that much. I could just do whatever I want. I could just keep doing my thing. Just feeling great.
Just shoot stuff and look pretty. That's fine. That's all you need. Well, then I just want to give you one last little moment. Do you have anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to talk about or call out before we let you go today?
I'd like to shout out my team. I think we will keep winning every game, every set. I don't think it's going to be close.
Oh,
And I also think me and Ayla right now are the best spot lane duo. And I personally think no one in Academy is better than me at the meta for the AD carries.
some tall words backed up by some tall play. Thank you so much for joining me, Jan. It was a pleasure to watch you play. And get ready for the final week of Academy next week, man. It's coming up soon.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and send it to a little break here while we do get ready for the second series of the day, so make sure you don't touch that browser.